Species are a group of organisms which can breed to produce fertile offspring. Oh, wait a minute. I think I got my answer. Mules cannot reproduce because their parents, the horse and donkey, are of two different species.
Brilliant.
But teacher, why? How does it happen?
Don't worry, that's where I take over. Let's first look at the widely used definition of species. Species can be defined as a group of organisms with similar morphological, physiological, biochemical, and behavioral features, which can interbreed to produce fertile offspring and are reproductively isolated from other species.
Hang on, teacher. What do you mean by reproductively isolated from other species?
That means the two populations of different species cannot breed naturally, and even if they are artificially bred, it results in either no offspring or infertile offspring like mules.
Oh, what makes them unable to interbreed?
Technically speaking, it's because they are under reproductive isolation.
Huh?
Let me explain. There are different ways by which reproductive isolation takes place. Let's first divide them into the prezygotic isolating mechanism and the postzygotic isolating mechanism. Prezygotic isolating mechanisms include behavioral isolation, mechanical isolation, gamete isolation, and seasonal isolation. Here, behavioral isolation represents the individuals not recognizing one another as potential mates or not responding to the mating behavior. For example, the mating call of male bird of one species is not recognized by the female bird of another species. The next one is mechanical isolation. It means the structure of reproductive organs are different in different species. For example, the structure of a penis of a male rhesus monkey is different from a male long-tailed monkey. That's why a male rhesus monkey cannot mate with a female long-tailed monkey naturally. Moving on, gamete isolation represents the inability of a male gamete to fuse with a female gamete even though the mating occurred. This type of isolation can be seen in plants too. There is incompatibility between the pollen and the stigma, which doesn't result in fertilization. Next up, seasonal isolation refers to the different mating period in different animal species and different gamete production time in different plant species. For example, Bufo americanus and Bufo fowleri are two different animal species and they have different mating seasons. Since there are seasonal differences between the fertility time, a male Bufo americanus cannot mate with a female Bufo fowleri because she will not be able to produce eggs at that exact time period when the sperm is produced in male and vice versa. Similarly, in plants, in most cases, the time of maturity of the male reproductive organ, stamen, and the female reproductive organ, carpel, would be different in two different species. Therefore, fertilization cannot take place between those two species. Now, talking about the postzygotic isolation mechanism, it occurs after the successful mating and fertilization of gametes. Even after fertilization, the production of offspring is not ensured. This isolation mechanism includes the failure of cell division in a zygote, the production of non-viable offspring or viable sterile offspring.
Oh, I see. So mules are infertile because of the postzygotic isolation mechanism, right?
That's correct. For your information, a mule has 63 chromosomes, an average of the horses and donkeys, which is 64 and 62 respectively. Of the 63 chromosomes, the mule inherits 32 from the horse and 31 from the donkey. This poses a problem during meiosis as the different structure and number of chromosomes prevents it from pairing up properly and thus prevents the formation of viable gametes. This renders the mules infertile.
Ooh, I understand now. I see that reproductive isolation plays a major role in the formation of new species.
That's true. Now, let me introduce you to the main topic of today's lesson that is responsible for the formation of new species and will continue to do so in future.
You mean evolution?
Yes. Evolution is the process leading to the formation of new species from pre-existing species over time as a result of changes in gene pools from generation to generation due to reproductive isolation.
But how does this gene pool change from generation to generation if the species is the same?
Very good question. You will get your answer as we move forward in the lesson. Let's get started with geographical isolation.
Sure, I'm looking forward to it.
Good. Then, can you tell me something about geographical isolation?
Let me think. Geographical isolation refers to the separation of populations in different geographical locations.
Yes. Geographical isolation means the separation of the populations by geographical landmarks in the course of time due to change in geographic features such as distance, rivers, and earthquakes. These geographic features which separate the landmark are also called geographical barriers. For example, the Grand Canyon in the United States was slowly separated by the Colorado River. In this case, the Colorado River acted as a geographic barrier separating the populations, which resulted in their geographical isolation.
Oh, so teacher, are there more examples of such geographical isolations?
Of course, have a look at these squirrels.
Oh, they look kind of similar.
That's because the kaibab squirrel and its closest relative, A-bird squirrel, were geographically isolated from a common ancestor almost 10,000 years ago. Since then, their morphological features such as the black belly and forelimbs have gradually evolved, leading to the formation of two different species.
But it must have taken ages. Is that how new species are formed?
Of course, and there is a special term for it. It's called speciation.
What does that exactly mean?
Well, speciation is the evolutionary process by which the populations evolve to become new and distinct species.
I see.
And here's an iconic example of evolution leading to speciation: Darwin's finches. Darwin's finches are considered as the evidence of ongoing evolution.
Wow. Are they Darwin's pets? Why aren't they just called finches?
Okay, now that you've asked, I take this opportunity to enlighten you with one of the most significant accounts in the history of evolution. It all started when Charles Darwin went on a voyage on the ship Beagle to travel around the world. The voyage stopped on the Galapagos Islands after surveying the coast of South America. On the islands, he noticed similar-looking birds with some morphological differences. The birds resemble the mainland birds of the coast of South America. Darwin then collected the different animal species, including birds from different islands of Galapagos, and brought them back home. He compared it with the mainland bird species found in the American continent. As a result, he found that some of the features like the body size, claw shape, and beak shape were different in different species. From observation, he noticed that insect eaters had long and thin beaks with sharp claws to catch insects. Nut eaters had large and thick beaks to crack open nuts, and so on. He also found that not a single island species completely matched with the other island species. They all had evolved into new species with different morphological features.
Wow, that's bewildering.
Oh, how so?
I know that species evolved through natural selection, but how did the mainland birds reach the islands? Did they fly all the way over there?
Not really. It was not possible for the birds to fly such a huge distance, As you can see, there is an ocean acting as a geographical barrier between the mainland and the islands. Also, the islands were separated.
Yes. So, how is that possible?
The explanation Darwin had was that many years ago, the mainland finches might have been blown by a big storm or wind, and that's how they landed in those islands. Since the distance between the islands and the mainland was very large, they couldn't return to the mainland, and because the distance between the islands was huge, they couldn't fly to other islands either, so they became totally isolated.
Ah, poor birds. It must be terrible to be blown away into a distant land.
Indeed. Also, Darwin figured that different islands had different vegetation and climatic conditions. After isolation, the finches began to adapt to the island's environment. As a result of selection pressure, alleles suiting the external conditions were selected for the finches in different islands. This altered the gene pool from the original species.
Yes. Mutations and genetic drifts also occur in small populations, which could further change the gene pool.
Yes, so over the due course of time, the morphological, physiological and behavioral features of the island finch population became so different from the mainland species that they could no longer interbreed. After a long time, over many generations, new species had evolved as a result of geographical barriers. This kind of speciation, occurring through geographical isolation, is also known as allopatric speciation.
Allopatric. What do you mean by that?
Let's unpack the word. The patric in allopatric means homeland in Greek, and allo means other.
So, allopatric as a whole means other homeland?
Exactly.
Ah. So, for the formation of new species, geographical barriers are a must, right?
Not really. It is also possible for new species to emerge without the original populations being separated by geographical barriers.
But how?
Well, such a kind of speciation is called sympatric speciation.
Oh, here's a wild guess. Sim means same and patric means homeland. That would make sympatric the same homeland?
Brilliant!
So, in sympatric speciation, speciation may occur as a result of genetic isolation by ecological and behavioral separation.
Want to learn more? We have additional learning resources to offer for Cambridge IGCSE and AS level subjects. Register now for free.